Welcome back, party people. My name is Brian. I'm your host for this project and this party, and this month I have a doozy of a project planned for you. As you can tell from the set change behind me, this month we are doing spin art. And as you can tell from the set change behind me, this month we have already spun art. But before we get to spinning art on a grand scale, I want to start at the beginning. And for me and spin art, the beginning comes from camp, school, or scouts with a spin art kit like this. So before we get there, we need to start here. So let's dive in. It spins. I don't know if you're supposed to start by putting the paint on it and then spinning it. Let's go ahead and try that first. Oh. Should we spin it? Oh, please don't go everywhere. Huh. Kind of looks like a birdie with a little yellow beak. It's not bad. I mean, it did a thing. This time I'm going to get it spinning and then I'm going to add the paint. I think that's the more traditional method with these little toys like this. Whoa, it's already doing a thing. Oh, okay. This is way more classic spin art. You got the streaks, you've got the circles, you've got the splats. Okay, I'm already much happier with this. Here's my review of the Amazon spin art kit that I bought for $12. It was more than enough fun to justify regifting to my 4-year-old niece because she can then take it and have tons of fun making wild and crazy spin art and a huge mess at my sister's house. Love you, Jessie. And now, as we continue messing with the timeline of this video, I think here in the middle, there is still more video to come. Here in the middle is the perfect time for our grand finale. So these paints are just regular acrylic paints. These paints are looser. They're meant to pour. So they added extra of the paint base, the floaterall. Yeah. So they're really meant to spread. These are just regular acrylic paints.
So these are the ones they should go with then?
I don't know. Or some combination.
Where did the dots come from?
So I think that's the cells in the ready to pour acrylic.
Around here. Come here.
Ooh. Okay. I think that's good.
Let's go.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm on that count.
3.
Ooh.
You love it? High five. Great job. Look, there's a heart.
Betsy, come.
Do you see the heart?
Do it again.
Yeah, we'll do another one. Great job.
Perfect. Greatest.
Okay, go with mommy.
3, 2, 1.
That is so cool.
Look at that.
Whoa. Do you have a thought behind the colors?
Not really, although I kind of tried to blend colors as they kind of went through the color spectrum to see what would happen. Now the question is now, do I put dots on it too?
Look up real quick.
Shrug.
1, 2, 3.
Whoa. Oh.
Cool.
I felt it on my face.
Canvas.
Yeah. You're living dangerously, sir.
Yes.
No bunny suit for you.
Am.
What could go wrong?
Exhibit A.
Going in naked.
So brave.
Please keep your clothes on.
Here.
3, 2, 1.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Looks kind of purple. And black.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh, I love the dark.
See,
We're all pretty.
The
when we
Pink
put it
Floyd,
down.
Dark Side of the Moon.
That's kind of.
Wow.
This swirl is like really sweet.
Look at that. Oh,
the light
that's
colors popping
cool.
You're all caught up. It's me in the present now. That party was a couple weeks ago, and I had so much fun spinning paint with my friends and family. In fact, if you're ever here in Florida, look me up, let me know. I will set up that paint spinning tube of mystery, and we can spin all kinds of paint until our heart's content. It was actually a really simple setup. All I did was take a piece of scrap wood and drill a hole as close to the center as I could get for a single bolt and 2 nuts. I found when I just used 1 nut, it would back itself out as it spun. 2 nuts locked together just fine. At first I thought I would use 4 screw holes, but 2 is more than enough to hold that little 10-inch canvas. You do need to make one of these for any size canvas that you're going to spin, and I would show you how I did it, but you know what? I believe in you. All you need now is a drill that you can attach the plate to, and you can spin paint until your heart's content. The other thing to note about that project is I used 2 different types of paint. The first is an inexpensive craft-grade acrylic paint. And acrylic paint is just a pigment suspended in an acrylic polymer, some sort of medium with stabilizers. And the other type of paint that I used was the same craft acrylic paint, but it was loosened up with a pouring medium. That's why they call it ready to pour. So this is some sort of flow medium, floaterall type product that will take the same acrylic paint and make it looser. And people are doing amazing things with flow acrylic paints. If you're not following along, you're missing out a really cool part of the zeitgeist on social media right now. You know, the truth of the matter is that while we were out there having a party, we weren't very scientific about our approach. And so I don't really know how the acrylic paints interact with the flow acrylics. I don't know how much paint we need to put on a canvas. I don't know about how things are going to behave based on where you put them. It was a lot of fun, but we didn't approach it very rigorously. And if you ask Mrs. Ruth's preschool class, they will tell you that Mr. Bryan is a scientist. I even have a lab coat to prove it. There we go. So what I want to do is take a little bit more rigorous approach to creating spin art. I think I'm going to create a larger version of that spin art kit that I got off of Amazon, so that right here in my studio, we can try some different things in terms of mixing different types of paint and the way that we apply the paint to the canvas so that we can really master the craft of flow acrylic spin art. So this is going to be a really simple rig. I have some scrap wood, some plywood, and 3 pieces of 2x8 that I've just roughly cut down to size. I'm going to screw it all together, drill a hole in the middle of this plastic storage tub so that our test rig can go down through the storage tub into the drill below and see if maybe the storage tub won't contain the paint. I'm going to have to start by turning it upside down, which is a challenge because I know where everything is based on the markings on the top. I think I'm just going to try to be really, really careful. Pardon me. And number 3. Ugh. Ah, it's not on camera. Okay. You can't even see where I split that board. Last one. Let's do some science. I want to be methodical about this. I want to figure out how the paint interacts with the canvas. Some of the dimensions that I've been thinking about is the type of paint that we use, whether it's the regular acrylic or the fluid-based flow acrylic, how much we're putting on the canvas, where it's going, a blob in the middle versus a pattern, and how fast the drill is turning. Those are some of the variables that I want to test, and I want to make sure to try to isolate them so that I'm not testing multiple things at once. That's a good part of the scientific method. Four tests, 4 red dots, for different techniques, although similar, and for remarkably similar results. That was interesting, which tells me that a dot in the middle is just going to behave a certain way. I think what I'm going to move to now is doing some stripes. And remarkably similar results. I'm going to start adding another layer of testing on top of the test that we've already done. So because it's already bolted up, I'm going to go ahead and use this one, and I'm going to add a blob of fluid acrylic paint right in the middle. Yellow dot in 3, 2. Oh, see, now this is starting to look cool. Okay, so the yellow mixed some with the blue. You can see there's some green in there. There's definitely green in these streaky bits, and the yellow definitely formed some cells. Getting these bolted back on is not the easiest thing ever. So a reminder, this was the regular acrylic paint on a blue stripe. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing. We're gonna add a yellow dot to the middle and see the difference between the fluid acrylics and the standard acrylic. Okay, so much less mixing. There is definitely some green, but it's much less. This is the red dot on the white base. For this one, I'm going to try adding maybe an X across it, crossing the middle. Okay, so I said a vertical stripe. Turns out I'm doing squiggles. I don't love the color combination. Pink was a poor choice, but I love the squiggles. Look at how the pattern, I mean, you can still totally see the pattern. And I think that I really like the cells. I mean, there's some really cool mixing where the white is coming up in the color, and I think the cells give it a lot of character. I feel like I'm starting to understand this, and I feel like we're starting to get somewhere where we're making something that's cool. Okay, so what did we learn? Both the standard acrylic and the fluid acrylic behaved similarly on a plain canvas when they were the only thing on the canvas. What was interesting was when you started adding a second layer or a second color to it, the standard acrylic paints didn't mix. There was some green in that blue-yellow spin that we did with the standard acrylic paints, but not nearly as much as the blue-yellow of the flow acrylic or the red and pink of the flow acrylic. The fluid acrylic paints interact with each other in some really interesting ways. I could see how it would be a little bit nerve-wracking and chaotic, but it also has the potential to be very, very cool. What does all of that mean? I don't know. I think it's time for me just to do a little bit more playing and a little bit less science. And so let's see what we do with these last few. I think that I'm going to try to play on the geometric approach and see what we can do, see if we can lean into it a little. Okay, so leaving the gap might have been a mistake, but I kind of like it. That green was not my favorite color green. I really want to add more to it. I think I'm going to. Oh. What just happened? Okay. That just, it erased it. That's so weird. Okay. This one's done. Huh. What am I going to do with this one? I know we've been approaching this somewhat methodically, but I'm going to break from that, and I'm going to try a different fluid acrylic technique called a dirty pour. And the way this works is you load the paint directly into a cup, you tip the cup upside down onto the canvas, and then typically you will sort of encourage the paint to spread out over the canvas. I'm going to encourage it with spin. So I'm going to start with a base of orange regular acrylic paint. And to that, I'm going to add a few drops of black flow acrylic, and maybe just for fun, a little bit of white. Oh, and maybe a green stem. This really does not feel like a lot of paint at all, but let's go ahead and try it. 3, 2. Okay, so I can immediately see the paint just like spreading down the edge of the cup, which is totally different than what I was expecting to happen. let's go ahead and spin it and see what happens anyway. Whoa. That is kind of trippy. The way the paint mixed as it was coming out of the cup caused all sorts of weird layers and things happening. I don't know if I like it, but it's totally different. I want to try to do one more. I feel myself wanting to build to this grand finale, and the truth is, we've already done the grand finale. You've already seen it. Go back and watch it again. It's a ton of fun. And I have to admit that even though this is less of a spectacle, spinning the paint in this tub has been a blast as well. But I do still want to do one more. So let's go ahead and give it one more shot. I don't know if it's my favorite one of the whole night, but it is a perfectly fine one to end on. If I had to summarize this project, I would do it with one word, and that word would be fun. This project was genuinely so much fun, and every step along the way, the little toy kit that I got off of Amazon was fun. The bench unit that I made so that we could do experiments here in the studio was fun. And let me tell you what, that tube, that paint containment tube of excitement and magic was fun. We had so much fun together spinning paint on those canvases that you see behind me. It was so much fun. And I say that even knowing that there were times where I felt so uncomfortable. This project really pushed me outside of my comfort zone. When I start a project, I want to know how the decisions I make and the actions I take get me from the blank white canvas to the final picture that I can see in my head. And this project doesn't work like that. And that reveals the fact that nothing works like that. Life doesn't work like that. You just have to give yourself over to the process and trust that through the spinning of the paint, something beautiful will be created, even when it doesn't. And that's just kind of my creative process in general. Speaking of creative processes, I do want to thank this video's sponsors. This entire video series is sponsored by Connect.Faith. Connect.Faith is a community of people that are unbound by location, coming together to explore what spirituality might look like today through a lens of creativity and justice. And if any of that sounds interesting to you, I encourage you to check out their website, Connect.Faith, and maybe try one of their Wednesday evening Zoom gatherings called the Creativity Lab. It's a group of people that changes every week. They're artists and musicians and writers and people who just have to be creative in order to survive their day-to-day lives. I encourage you to check it out, and thank you to Connect.Faith for supporting this video series. And now, until we meet again, my wish for you as ever is that you will be well, you will try hard, and most importantly, you will do good in the world. It was the Onceler from Dr. Seuss's The Lorax who said, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. I love you, and I'll see you next time.